Hi, welcome to Perfectly Imperfect Me 365. I am your host, Rachel, and I appreciate you joining me. Today, we're going to talk about a really personal topic, and it's something that I actually haven't even really spoken about in 21 years. We're going to talk about postpartum depression, and I'm not coming to you today as a therapist. I'm coming to you as somebody who lived it, and I lived it quietly. I was very ashamed of it, and I was really confused. So let's just get right into it. I had my first son, and it was a scheduled C-section, and I was so excited, and I had everything prepared, and I had taken all the, baby classes and the nursing classes and yada, yada, yada. And I honestly was not expecting this at all. Postpartum never even crossed my mind. It hit me 7 days after I gave birth to my first son, Cole. And I thought postpartum was all about crying uncontrollably, just not loving your baby. Just sitting and eating bonbons and just being super sad. But for me, it wasn't like that. For me, it kind of looked a little confusing because it was sadness, but not the sadness where I was feeling sad or depressed. I felt I had no energy. I had horrible intrusive thoughts about me hurting my baby, about somebody hurting my baby. I just felt numb, apathetic. I probably angry. I wouldn't even say it was the right word, but I felt like a little rage inside of me periodically. I was snapping at my ex-husband. I was crying in the shower at times. I was feeling really guilty for not feeling the joy that I was supposed to feel and questioning where did this come from? What happened? The first 7 days, I felt so excited. I felt tired. Yes, I had a C-section. I was breastfeeding. But I had really great, joyful thoughts. But the worst part about this is that on day 7, when I started to feel this, I didn't tell anybody. I felt like something was wrong with me and that I should be grateful and I should be glowing and I should be loving my baby and just bonding so much with this little beautiful boy. But that's not what I was feeling. The idea that I was off, that I wasn't strong enough to kind of do this. Maybe I wasn't even cut out for motherhood, which logically I knew was not accurate. Yeah, I was really questioning what was happening to me. And that's where I realized it was shame. And it's one of the biggest lies that postpartum tells you. It kind of tells you that you're a bad mom, that you're ungrateful, that you should be stronger, you should be better, you should be happier, all those shoulds. But the reality is that I was exhausted. I had hormones that were all over the place. I was not sleeping at all because I was breastfeeding on demand. So I'm having this little baby boy who literally seemed, as soon as I was done breastfeeding, was hungry again. And I just had no idea what was happening. And I felt like I was so alone and I couldn't tell anybody because, here I am. I'm the one holding my baby at 1, 3, 5 a.m. And I literally felt so alone. And I also did notice that at moments I did have fleeting in the moments, times of just joy at the same time while I was breastfeeding him in the middle of the night. So it was really super confusing to me. So it wasn't just the sadness for me. It was anxiety. I had intense fear that something bad was going to happen to my baby. And I was constantly worried that something was going to happen. And although I had a ton of family and friends all around me, I felt really alone. And I just was having thoughts that I was too scared to say out loud. And not only that, but as a therapist, for me, the worst part that I kept thinking was that if I say these things out loud, people are going to think I'm completely crazy and what kind of therapist and what kind of mom am I? So fortunately, I will say for me, because I am a therapist, I did have the awareness that something was off. So I didn't just like snap out of it. And it wasn't just a magical moment like where I woke up and I said, wow, I feel so much better. I actually spoke to my gynecologist about how I was feeling because for some reason I actually felt safer there because I guess the HIPAA guidelines and the HIPAA policies and you can't break confidentiality. And I wasn't saying I was going to harm my baby with intent or myself. I was having these horrible intrusive thoughts that I recognize were not my thoughts and what I wanted to do. So I spoke to him, and the first step that I think for me that worked, and it may not work for everybody, was that I accepted a handwritten prescription from him to take a medication, and I can't even remember the name of it. And I said to myself, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks to just work through this because I really did not want to go on medication. Not because I think it's bad at all. I'm just very sensitive to medication. I was breastfeeding my kid. I really wanted to breastfeed. And so I just really wanted to try to conquer this, probably because I'm type A and, give me a goal and I really will set it and succeed at it. But whatever, neither here nor there. I had this written prescription and I was going to, if I was not feeling better on day 14, fill it. And I was going to start taking it. So what I did in those 2 weeks, and let me just tell you what helped me, and these might help you and they may not. Okay. So please don't take this as gospel. This is not what I'm saying as a therapist. Remember, this podcast is just as informational and just some encouragement to let you know that you're not alone. But I didn't just suddenly start running 5 miles and like eating kale and starting to feel better about myself and my body and having these thoughts go away. I just started with like the tiniest little steps. And when I say little, I'm talking that they were shower. My first step was to shower. And I then required myself to get out of the pajamas that I had literally been living in for, 2 weeks. I'm not kidding. I might have showered twice during those 2 weeks, which, I'm definitely judging myself, but wow, how did I not think that was completely off? But anyway, I digress. So I started with a shower and then I required myself to change into regular clothes, not get back in my pajamas. But if that's all I did for the first day or two, I was successful. And then I started to slowly accept the food that my family and friends would bring over. I started with eating real meals, not just like the large Costco muffin for the entire day, but I started eating meals filled with protein, and they did not have to be consistent. They didn't have to be big. They didn't even have to have a ton of seasoning. They just were something. It was just something because my body honestly probably was starving because I was nursing. I had no appetite. I was so sad. And how could my brain possibly start to work or even heal if I wasn't feeding it? And then the next thing I said I was going to do, remember, type A person here. So I was going to get out of the house, and these were 2 things that I combined. I got out of the house and I started to move my body. Now, if you know me, then you know I'm an athlete. I was a marathoner. I've run a lot of marathons before I had kids, after my kids. That wasn't my goal here. My goal was not to get out for weight loss. I had gained a shit ton of weight with my first child. I think I gained 52 pounds, right? And at the end of the day, I wasn't even thinking about weight loss. I was just trying to survive. So my first 2 things after the shower was that I needed to get out of the house, even when I didn't want to, even if I cried on my walk, but I got out. I put Cole in the baby stroller. I covered him and I went for a walk. It didn't need to be a long walk. It just needed to be a few walks. I started with walking out of the house, down to the street, and then I kept extending it and extending it and extending it. And there were times I would push myself to maybe do this twice a day. I also then started talking to some people. And what's interesting is that somewhere, and I have to be honest, I don't even actually remember where this fell in, but my child did not follow those videos that they show you in the, pre-baby thing. Like, they show you these videos how your baby's just gonna root on up to the breast and know how to breastfeed, and they're gonna get this, and they just totally know what to do. My child missed that class because he did not latch on properly. He did not know what to do. We called him the bear because as soon as he'd get to my breast to nurse, he would shake his head so aggressively side to side that I was just like, what is going on with the child? So I think that led me to finding a support group at the hospital, and it was a breastfeeding support group. And I didn't even care if I knew nobody, but that's where I started to talk to other women because they were also going through very similar stages. I didn't know if they were having the same thoughts as I was, but they were going through similar stages. They were all there to breastfeed these babies that really were either not doing such a great job or they just didn't know people. So that did help. After I started to get a little bit more comfortable sharing in there, I then started to share with my family, my friends, my husband, but now he's my ex. And not everyone got it. I'm not going to lie to you. Not everybody understood where I was coming from, but many did. And that made all the difference. So if you're listening to this and you're in the thick of it, okay, the fog, the overwhelm, the guilt, the anger, the judgments, the sadness, the confusion, I want to say this out loud to you. You are not failing. You are not broken. You are not a bad mom. You are just postpartum. You are in recovery and you are allowed to need support. You're allowed to seek support. You're allowed to ask for some help. And if you are supporting a new mom right now, or you love someone who's going through this, please try your best to not tell them to enjoy their moment. Don't ask her what she needs because let's just be honest, I had no idea what I needed. So I had some friends who just came over and said, let me watch the baby for an hour. Please go lay down and sleep. My family, my sister, so many supportive people did come around. They didn't ask me what I needed. They sure as heck did not ask me what I wanted to eat. They literally just put food in front of me. And the last thing I'm going to say to you, if you know somebody who's going through this, or even if they just had a baby and you don't know that they're going through postpartum, keep texting them, even if she doesn't respond, because she's already got her, she's already up to her highest level of what is on her plate, and just trying to survive, especially if she's going through postpartum, is really overwhelming. So if you know somebody that is going through it, or that you love somebody that is, dealing with it right now, just call, just text, let them have that permission that it's okay to not call you back. And I'm just going to pop over today or tomorrow. Maybe if they have a partner, reach out to that partner to ask, can I just come over now? Let me just come over, watch the baby, do anything that you can. Let them shower. Let them go shower. So just remember that postpartum isn't cured by love alone. It's about being seen and not judged. That actually saves lives. So there's something I want to close with, and that is the truth that nobody told me. That motherhood is beautiful. Absolutely. And it's also brutal. You can be grateful and grieving the version of yourself that you were before you had the baby. You can love your baby and feel like you're falling apart and wanting to just sleep and not hold the baby. Those two things can be true and exist at the same time. And it doesn't make you broken. It actually makes you human. So if this hits home for you, I see you. And if you're too tired or overwhelmed to say anything right now, that's okay. Just know that this episode is my way of saying you're not alone. So please just be gentle with yourself today. You're doing the bravest work of all. And it's one of the jobs that really gets unnoticed with very little accolades. So be kind to yourself. I appreciate you listening to me. If you do need help and you're having any suicidal thoughts or any, homicidal thoughts or other thoughts that you don't believe you can control, especially if you don't have support. If you do not have support and you don't have friends or you don't have family who are supportive, you're still not alone. I would love for you to please reach out to a therapist in your area. Find a support group for moms. That is what you got to do. You're not alone. It does make all the difference in the world. At the end of the day, just know that you're not alone. You're a great mom. You're doing the best you can. Be kind to yourself and have a great day. Thanks for listening to Perfectly Imperfect Me 365. I am your host, Rachel, and have a great day.